immediately upon entry into office, and then over the course of the next 2 to 3 years as the investigations that have been spawned by the Dan matter are brought to resolution. So that's a little bit about myself, and that's why I want to run for Attorney General, and I'm glad to answer any questions.
If you're elected day one, what are the first 3-4 things that you plan to do? What are your first priorities?
First priority would be to embrace and incorporate the recommendations that were made by the Temporary Attorney General's Advisory Committee that were reported out about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Recommendations with respect to fraternization, sexual harassment, training, education, things of that nature. I've had a chance to look at that very closely. There's not one in there that I have a difficult time with. I can embrace them all. I would do that. Probably even before that, I think it's very important that what happened in the Attorney General's office is not really a reflection of the quality of employee and public servant we have in the Attorney General as a general role. They're very dedicated, very devoted. What we had was a complete and absolute failure of leadership. So really, on day one, the first thing that would happen is that there would be a leader in place, that would set forth what the expectations of the office were, would lead by example, would lead from the front, would lead by precept, and would immediately demand the kind of respect that needs to occur between employees in an office, whether that be from attorney to paralegal, paralegal to paralegal, or attorney to reception. There's a certain norm, a certain standard that must be in place in an office, and that standard would be set from day one. I think that's absolutely critical. The second thing I said would be to incorporate those ideas. The third thing, still in conjunction with getting the Attorney General's office back on its feet, would be probably the implementation that the advisory committee that was in place, it's temporary. I've looked at that. I'd like to expand the base and make it permanent and have it meet maybe 2 times a year and have it come in and take a look, kind of as an oversight committee, to take a look at what's going on in the Attorney General's office and make further recommendations as the Dan investigations are brought to resolution. Also, as part of that, what needs to be done to get the office back on its feet, working for all the citizens of Ohio, I put forth some policy proposals with respect to fellowships and initiatives that I think that are necessary to recognize the professionalism that already exists in the office. Again, I'm someone that has worked with that office on a regular basis when I was the United States Attorney's Office. They were a very, very fine office. They still are a very fine office, but I'm seeing a number of people that have left the office as a result of that investigation. And we need to maintain the quality of people we have in that office, and we need to attract the best and the brightest into that office. So those policy initiatives that I have with respect to fellowships and recognition, incentives for professionalism, community involvement would be very important. That would be the first thing that I would do on day one with respect to that. The second thing is that I've put forth a proposal with respect to special counsel contracts. I think it is absolutely essential that special counsel contracts, every single one of them, be competitively bid. The proposal, I have a policy initiative, and it should be in the press packets that we've given to you, would provide for a mechanism where a request for qualification is sent out. Let me give you an example. Let's say the Ohio State University has need for a litigator in connection with some general litigation matter. The university would come to the Attorney General's office, a request for proposal would be drawn up, it would be sent out to the law firms, and they would then respond, would come back. There would be a group of people in the Attorney General's office and also in the client office, in this case the Ohio State University, that would review and score those proposals. The proposals would also include a request that they indicate the maximum amount of money that the litigation is going to cost. This is kind of a new concept in government, but it's not a new concept in the private sector. When I do a lot of complex litigation, my clients want to know how much it's going to cost them. I mean, so what if my hourly rate is $350 an hour? So what if it's $125 an hour? That's fine. What they want to know is they want to have some idea what's going to be the cost. And so putting together litigation budgets is not an uncommon thing in the private sector. I think it needs to flow over into the private sector so that you at least have some control or some idea of what the cost is going to be. That's one of the factors that would be scored as well. Then there would be a recommendation that came from that group to the group of senior executives in the Attorney General's office. Plus, I would anticipate putting somebody on from either the Auditor of State or maybe the Department of Administrative Services, and maybe a retired judge that's no longer with a law firm that wouldn't be conflicted out, so that there's more than just senior attorney generals making a final review of the scoring that was done by the client. And then a recommendation comes to the Attorney General and make the decision. The important thing is that everyone says, well, it's still you as the Attorney General making the decision. Well, that's as the law is. The Attorney General is required to make that decision if you're going to go with special counsel. But what it does is it has a scoring procedure in place that would literally, I think, make the process transparent, because I would require that the scoring sheets and the recommendations would, of course, be public records, and they would be posted on the internet, would be available to anybody that wanted to review them, whether it be the media or whether it would be just a John Q. citizen. So the special counsel contract